I'm going down to the drugstore, buy a big old skein of yarn. I'm gonna knit me a kitten, even if you don't give a darn.
Welcome to this episode of the We Are Yarn podcast. My name's Amanda. I'll be your host today, and I am dropping in on the 13th of September 2017 in the afternoon. I have a day off from work and have been poking around the house doing some cleaning and laundry and all that boring stuff. And I thought I'd sprinkle in a little bit of fun and sit down and talk with you guys for a moment because I have a finished object I'm terribly pleased with. And that is my starting point wrap by Joji Locatelli. It was her mystery knit along this summer, and it took me quite a while to finish it. I started it as soon as maybe a week after it was the first clue was released back in May, I believe. And yeah, just finished it Monday on the 11th. So I'm terribly excited to present to you my starting point mystery knit along shawl. All the ends are not woven in. I'm very seriously considering paying someone to do it because I don't got that kind of time. Well, okay, I could probably make the time because I knitted the thing, right? But I do not want to spend my time weaving all these ends. There's so many. Towards the end, I started doing that weave it in as you go method. And I kind of wish I had done that for the whole shawl. But I wasn't that forward thinking like I did here. Anyway, so our colors in order, just so you can see. The silver, this is how much I have left. So maybe a quarter of the skein. And it is Daisy Knits by the lovely Jennifer. This is on her hybrid base, which is a Superwash Merino Tencel 50/50 blend, thinking of Mel. And it looks like it had 384 yards, so that's how much I've left. And then the next color is that beautiful blue. I have quite a bit of it left, a good half, I'm sure. It is from the color wheel. This is her Caribbean Sea colorway on Tough Sock. It's Superwash BFL nylon. I still have plenty. I could probably make some socks out of that for myself because I have tiny feet. The next color there. Uh-oh. The tag is missing. It's probably in that basket right there. Let's see if it's in my basket. Aha. I was right. So this is Zen Glitter Sock, Serenity Glitter Sock in the Clay Sand colorway. I have this much left. This much. You see how much that's left? I ended up actually having to do a little bit of modification because of it. The final little section, the final closer, no, you know what? I'm going to finish up with my colors and then I'll tell you about the modifications I had to make. The next color is the black. And the black, what I have left is still attached to the shawl. Where's the other end? So, oh, I'm sorry. Actually, this is all I have left of my clay sand right there. Well, it's tied together now. That's super fun. This is all I have left of the black. So about that much. And this is the very ancient silver spoon from Kitchen Sink Dye Works. Merino silk nylon and silver. And finally, the lovely copper you see there in the lace is from Gail's Art. And this is MYS Superwash Merino Yak Silk. So I had 400 yards, it said, and I got so excited I didn't wind it together like I usually do to make the little bow tie looking thing. And that's a good probably third of the skein. So if you're not familiar, let me show you how this shawl works. You make 2 of these of the triangle there, and then you put a corner on it and do all this chevron work. Okay. I chose these colors because I saw someone else doing a very similar color palette before the make-along began, and they posted their colors, and I thought it was beautiful, and I knew I had similar colorways to what she had posted in my stash. That's how I chose it. I think it's very night on the beach for me. It's kind of what it makes me think. That blue makes it beachy to me, and then the sparkles of all the sparkle in the black, you know, the stars in the sky, whatever. But that's kind of where my brain goes with this. So you make 2 of these, and you end up with them on points, and you do a little bit of knitting magic to join the points, and then you start closing it up this way. So guys, you cast on like 3 stitches, and in the end you just knit together until they're gone. You have 1 stitch. So there was no binding off. So if you hate binding off, this may be for you. It took so much yarn. Alright, so I got things that I did wrong, modifications I made not knowing I was making modifications. I miscalculated, and I should have had 10 rows of garter stitch on each of these sections, this blue, black, blue, and copper here, and I only did 7, and I don't know why. It's still plenty long. I would have been way out of yarn if I had done that. This way I was able to do a few modifications and finish off sort of with all the yarns called for at the end. When I got my dark cross, is what she calls it, when I got the dark cross finished, I was concerned, honestly, that I was going to not have enough black. So what I did when I got to this last little black section was I held the 2 ends of the skein together and just pulled it down, and I really, honestly, I didn't have much at all, hardly any at all, and I cut it in the middle, and I was going to knit as far as I could with one of those links, and then if I ran out, I was just going to do the rest in a non-sparkly black, charcoal gray black, to make up the difference, and that way both sides would be the same. I wanted both sides to be the same. but I was most concerned about running out of the black. So I did the clay sand there on one side, and I think I just knit the clay sand. And then I went to the other side to knit the clay sand. And I ran out of yarn. I did not have... No. Okay, so it was clay sand, and then you did a section of alternating it with the copper. Or I would have, what is my copper. And so I did that. And then I went to the other side to do the same thing, and I ran out of yarn before I got done. So what I ended up doing, I can't remember. Yes, I ran out of yarn while I was working on those alternating rows of copper and clay sand. So what I did instead was I ripped back to, I just finished off that section in copper only. I'm having a hard time putting my words together, guys. Then I went back to the other side and ripped back to that same point, and then just finished in copper from there on the other side, so that they were the same. And I think it looks really nice. Let's see. You know what? This is the print off from the Mystery Knit Along. I don't have a picture of what other people's should actually look like. But I'm pretty pleased with how it turned out there. I think it looks nice. That copper got a little bit more time to shine at the end than just being striped into the clay sand. And the blue and the silver, I was able to do just fine. You guys saw I had plenty of those left. But then I got to the black, and like I said, I divided it and snipped it in the middle. And that is right there. I had plenty left. Those, when you start getting into this decrease section, your rows start getting shorter and shorter and shorter and shorter, obviously. But they got shorter a lot faster than I expected. And so I had plenty of black left, and I was really pleased. But then, remember, this section was supposed to be clay sand. And I wanted it to still have a little bit of variegation. I didn't want to just do it solid copper, but knit it in solid copper. Even though I think that would have still been lovely, I wanted it to have a little bit of that variegation on the end. So I did a row of a garter bump of clay sand, and then a garter bump of copper, clay sand, copper, until it was down to where I was finished. So, and I did that on both sides, obviously. And I had plenty enough yarn left from where I had ripped back those couple 3 rows, or however many it was. I had plenty left over from that to do the alternating rows. And I think it just gives it a little, just enough color interest there that you get the point of what Hohi was going for. So that's how I handled my running out of yarn. You know, I always thought that I would run out of the clay sand, and I was prepared mentally for that. When I started thinking I was going to run out of that black, though, I was really concerned and disappointed. But I'm glad it worked out the way it did. I think it looks really nice. I'm really, really, really pleased. The other thing I did is, I believe it was this blue section at the end was supposed to be twisted rib. And as a friend says, I fired the twisted rib. I didn't feel like doing it when I got to that point. I was in no mood to do a purl through the back loop. And so I just didn't. I just garter stitched it, and I think that looks amazing. So things I would do differently. I think the garter eyelet sections, like the little, in the silver here or back here in the black, I think those sections are nice as far as lace goes. But other than that, I would have just done this whole thing in garter and not done the lacy bit for the copper, not done the twisted rib in the other places that the twisted rib shows up. I would have just done 100% garter, 100% garter, 100% all the time, and I think it would have been an equally lovely shawl. The changes, especially since I had changes in texture too, because these were not all the same base of yarn, obviously. And that was kind of one of the things that I really liked about choosing these yarns. I had the two that I ran out of that were sparkly. You know, the black is sparkly, the clay sand has sparkle in it. Then I had these two that had a pretty high silk content, so they had kind of a sheen to them. And then this one, you know, the tough sock is a tough sock yarn. So it had more of a earthy texture. I don't know, earthy isn't the word I'm going for. Flatter texture. And I think if it had all been in garter and just with those little eyelets to kind of separate stuff and give the knitting a little bit of interest, I think it would have been fine without the twisted rib and the lacy bits. So this is it unblocked. It is so long. So I'm 5'3", so your wingspan is the same as your height, right? So I'm 5'3", and this is where my other fingertip hit. So it's me and a half, and it's not even blocked yet. You know, I don't like mystery knit-alongs because I like knowing where I'm going. Once everybody had posted all their pictures of their finished object, I had most of my first side done, and so I kind of saw where it was going already. But being able to refer back to the picture, especially there at the end with the triangle there at the end, I was not interested in trying to read and follow directions. So I pulled up a close-up of someone's project and went with it and just kind of counted how many garter ridges they had and what they had done and just did what they did until the last little bit where you couldn't see what kind of decreases were happening. What can I say? And I did read the directions for how many yarn over knit twos and yarn over slip slip knits there at that last little black eyelet section. But then when I went to do it on the other side, I just winged it. Figured it didn't matter anymore because I didn't feel like reading the directions. Thank you very much. Alright, but you know, if you have 5 skeins hanging out, 5 precious skeins, put them together, make this fabulous wrap. I was just sitting talking to my mama with it flung over my shoulders, and holy bejeez, it's warm. I got hot sitting there. So that's that. Finally, I wanted to resurrect a segment that I used to do many moons ago, but ran out of steam. On days when I don't have a whole lot to talk about, like today I just have the one project, I managed to talk for, gosh, over 15 minutes about it. I'm going to go to the Ravelry group and look at projects that have been finished projects that have been shared with the group. So, you know, when you're building your project page in Ravelry and adding your project, over to the right hand side there's a drop down box for groups, and you can choose as many groups as you want to share it with. and your project. And so I'm going to start doing that again, looking at projects that have been shared recently and choosing someone's FO to spotlight. So today, Kansan, is that how you say it? Kansan at Heart finished recently a frisson. And there that lovely thing is. I believe it is a pay-for pattern. She used a gradient yarn. Isn't that so lovely? It makes me, I have a gradient yarn that I haven't chosen I want to knit it, but I haven't been able to choose a project for it. And I think this may be perfect. So thank you for your little bit of inspiration there. So the Frisson by Brittany Wilson. This was Vivid Fiber Arts Luxe. It's a light fingering gradient. And here's a picture of the yarn and the cake. I think she did a beautiful job. Kansan at Heart is the lovely Esther. She lives in Lakeland, Florida. My heart goes out to you and all of your neighbors all the way down the coast there. After Hurricane Irma this past weekend, it was it was hard to watch all that footage, and I hope you and your home and all of your loved ones are safe. Yeah, if you're unfamiliar with Florida geography, P.S. I am too. I had to go look it up. Lakeland is just east of Tampa Bay, Tampa area. And one of the most horrifying images I saw was as the hurricane was happening, was hitting land, making landfall is what they call that, was Tampa Bay, where the ocean had pulled away from the beach. Like the ocean was just gone. And that's terrifying to me. And there were people out walking on it. And I'm going, guys, do you not understand? You need to be running. This is terrifying. The ocean has disappeared. Anyway. Yeah, so thank you for sharing that, Esther. And it's a beautiful finished object, and I think you will absolutely love it. I would, obviously, since I'm considering knitting one out of my gradient. But with that, guys, I'm going to let you all go. I hope you have an amazing week, or however long it is till I see you again. I have been posting on YouTube Vintage We Are Yarns, just trying to get all my back catalog posted to YouTube. And, you know, they're not getting many views, but the few of you who are watching, I hope you're enjoying them. You know, blasts from the past. They're all, I believe, 5 years ago or more. And so, that's kind of fun. But with that, I'm going to quit saying I'm going to go finish my coffee and then maybe do some more laundry. You know, luckily enough, I already have dinner on the stove. I fixed up some chili. A lovely friend had made chili this weekend, and I've been thinking about it ever since. So I have some chili that I used, you know, chili powder, just the way it comes. But then I also threw in a little bit of cocoa and a little bit of cinnamon to kick things up a little bit. And then I poured in a couple of glugs of some Maker's Mark bourbon. It is going to be so delicious. I'm so excited about it. Excited about dinner tonight. Yay! Well, I'm going to go get some stuff done. And yes, in the meantime, are you working on your fading into fall or falling into your fading into fall? The lovely, oh, I'm doing this from memory, Andrea Mowry, the mastermind behind Find Your Fade, Free Your Fade, the What the Fade, and Mystery to the Long Right Now, and the So Faded. We're doing a knit along in conjunction with Silly Fruit, the Sassy Pants Knitter, and the lovely Daniela of Caffeinated Crafting. That's going through the 1st of November, so that when the 1st of November comes, we can all switch over to doing the Nano Swimo. I'm planning on knitting the So Faded. I am 98% certain I will not finish it by the end of the cowl, but this spurred me on to actually get to doing a fade. So I'm really excited about it. I got to dig 5 more skeins out of my deep stash, and I'm really excited to be putting them together into a sweater. So please be working on that. And I reached out to that designer, and she has graciously agreed to give one of you lovely knitters a prize of one of her other patterns. So yeah, so I asked just for one of her other patterns, and I hope that's the way she understood. I'm sure any of her pay-for patterns on Ravelry that are, you know, comparable to the Find Your Fade price range will be just fine. Have you seen her Birds of a Feather pattern? It's beautiful. You should check it out. It's another shawl. But with that, guys, I'm going to go now. I think I've hit all the high points. I'm sorry if you can hear my cat crying in the background, but I shut the door to do this. So, and he does not like a shut door. So, I'm going to go. Bye.
I just can't wait to finish. I got the kitten knitting blues. No, I just can't wait to finish. That's why I got those kitten knitting blues.